Bismillah Rahman Rahim, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, you had definitely gone through the recently held presidential US elections 2024. Former President Donald Trump made his way once again to the White House for second term. Republicans posted thumping victory, which stunned everyone. Now all three branches of the US government are under Republican control, namely the President, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now the Trump administration, the upcoming Trump administration would get any decision with ease because of their majority. But how the next Trump administration would be different from the past, whether there would be any sort of a suitable and a friendly way for Pakistan-US relations, or Pakistan has to suffer for another 4 years and might be it's going to be a troubling time. We will try to examine those policies which were already announced by the President-elect Donald Trump during his election campaign. Now what are those? Number one is the Middle East conflict or the peace in Middle East, which is still a distant dream. Obviously the containment of China policy and the Indian factor when it comes to the Indo-Pacific strategy or in Pacific or its Indian Ocean. Obviously the immigration policy in which Donald Trump has openly announced that there would be historic deportation of the undocumented people from United States. There would be a tightened visa regime and obviously lots of visas are going to abolish as well. And what would be the future of the environment and climate change issues? As last time we had seen that Donald Trump administration was the one who got out of the Paris Agreement. Now these are very important issues pertaining to, directly or indirectly, these are the issues confronting Pakistan as well. How? This is the big question and we will get answers of these questions from our panelists. We have in our studios Ms. RIDA TANVIR. She is the international relations expert. Most welcome to you, RIDA. Thank you very much for your presence here in the studios. And with her, Dr. AWAIS bin WASI. He is the Indo-US affairs expert. Most welcome to you, Dr. AWAIS. Thank you very much for your time.
Welcome.
And we will try to have Vice President of the Federation of Pakistan Chambers of Commerce as well with us, and also the expert on US affairs. So later we will talk with them as well when they will be online. Right now, Dr. AWAIS bin WASI, my first question to you. Very dramatic elections really in United States, and this is almost after 100 years that the Republicans got such type of majority in all houses, including even lots of governors elected of the different states. Muslim Americans majority voted for Trump on the Middle East peace promise or against the policies of the Biden administration. But more than 70% of the pro-Israeli Americans voted him. 60% of the Israelis are happy that the Trump returns to the White House. De facto Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu termed Trump as the best friend in White House. The Trump recognizes occupied Jerusalem, Syrian Golan Heights as Israeli territory earlier on when he was in power from 2016 to 2020. Moved US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Brokered Abraham Accord, an Israeli strong ally. He told Israeli de facto Prime Minister that finish the job. Was it mean that against Palestinians or means end the war? Then there are new cons, forever war camp versus the no war America first camp. Where the game goes actually?
Thank you so much for having me on this important issue after the election of United States President Donald Trump. So given his background and given his temperament and his the way, it's very difficult to predict what President Trump will do. That is unpredictable, to say it. But as you have mentioned some examples, and if we see the percentage of the Muslim voters, especially in the Muslim some of the majority states, the Muslim population, the voters for exit polls, Fox News that shared that 63% of the Muslim voters, they supported not the Donald Trump, but Kamala Harris. And 32% vote, they backed, Donald Trump. So keeping this in view, so I think that the promise that Donald Trump made to the Muslim constituents that they will end war and they will bring peace in Middle East, I think that the prospects are very grim, keeping in view some current developments. For example, in the election campaign, Netanyahu visited Florida and he met Donald Trump. And recently, after the election of Donald Trump, he was among the few countries who took that initiative initially, among the few countries who congratulated Donald Trump for the election, in the very beginning. And he has, this statement that he made, that the best friend Israel has ever had in the White House. So that indicates that the close proximity and the expectation Tel Aviv is having from the Washington.
As you have rightly mentioned, that it was the meeting in Florida, no doubt about that. But the thing is that end the war when Netanyahu wants.
Exactly.
The peace, what the Netanyahu thinks. So this is kind of a mantra which is going on right now.
Exactly.
Over there.
One thing, if you could allow me to mention is that from the the last tenure of Donald Trump, if we see the developments with regard to Israel, I think it would help us to project what could be the contours of his foreign policy towards Middle East, especially in Israel and Palestine. Some of the things you have mentioned, but I would like to specifically reiterate these things. Number one is Abraham Accords. So he in fact facilitated, or he secured.
By the way, in Abraham Accord, there is no mention of Palestine. So,
yes, no mention.
So that is very loud and clear on that.
Yes, a secured agreement between 4 Arab countries
yes.
and Israel, and established diplomatic relations between the 4 Arab countries. And the second one is the Jerusalem recognized. That was United States was very careful earlier in the diplomacy.
Although
the resolution was there,
territory.
the resolution was there, but Jerusalem was not accepted as the capital of Israel, but Donald Trump did the same, and he accepted and moved the embassy of United States to the Jerusalem. And the third thing that you have also mentioned in the beginning is the Golan Heights. So under Trump administration, United States became the first country in the whole world to recognize this occupied territory.
Yeah, definitely. Your point well taken. Rida, during elections, the Trump pledged to launch largest deportation efforts in the US history, means to deport more than 20 million undocumented immigrants, would reinstate the COVID-19 era Title 42 policy, expelling migrants without any sort of asylum. So implement the travel bans, visa restrictions, abolish visa in some categories, as it was done earlier as well in last administration. Intends to end Biden parole program with the US sponsors. How it would possibly affect the Pakistanis living in the United States of America, and if affected, what would be the aftermath?
Oh, it's a very pertinent question, I must say. As we know, President Trump is habitual of having impulsive kind of personality, where he would revoke and withdraw from agreements which were previously reinstated by the governments. When the question of the immigrants living in the United States come, and specifically the question of non or undocumented immigrants is concerned, and especially you mentioned the Article 42 of US Code. Primarily this article deals with public health, social welfare and civil rights. This article was enacted back in 1944. And this was basically enacted to ensure, or you can say to curtail, the kind of migration which was incoming from Mexican borders. And that was done to avoid the health issues which were coming along with those immigrants. But let me just point out one thing over here, that when we talk about the undocumented cases of immigrants living in the United States, there are around, if my statistics are correct, there are 20 million undocumented immigrants, but Pakistan does not fall in the first 20 the undocumented cases of immigrants living over there. The top one is Mexico, which has around 5 million undocumented immigrants living over there. And then there is India on the third part. And then I would like to add over here that this is obviously troublesome for the cases of undocumented migrants. However, this is something that the undocumented cases should keep in mind, that they must be ready to face the music if they are to be accounted for at some stage. However, the real trouble is for the ones who are trying to come legally. So the Trump administration, I personally have been to United States twice during the Trump administration, and I know how much trouble I went through during the visa process. The scrutiny was very tedious. The process was
That is going to be troublesome as well.
Yes, and for Pakistanis it would be troublesome because Pakistani diaspora over there is huge. They're living over there, and a lot of people have applied for green cards in the past. But what happens is that during Trump administration, the Trump administration would impulsively revoke the green cards which were issued to the people in the past, and then they would have to, the ones who were on the process of reaching to United States. And then I mean, I've heard of a lot of cases, they have sold everything in Pakistan and they were almost on the way to United States, and they found out that their visas and their green card, the green card has been revoked. Plus the problem arises that when these people are sent back to Pakistan, Pakistan has to, you can say, place them back in the society. They have to find place for them over here. And
integrate them into the society and to settle them here. It would be a difficult and a
plus they were also responsible for the remittances which was coming from United States. That too would stop. So this is actually also going to
hit Pakistan's economy if that happened.
And it is going to hinder diplomatic ties over here as well. With
Definitely, you are absolutely right. Ma'am QURRAT, most welcome to you to Foresight. Thank you very much for sparing time. How do you see Pakistan and United States considerably well-developed economic and trade relations, bilateral cooperation flourished over the years in energy, information technology and agriculture sectors particularly? Investment sentiments remains cautiously hopeful, and the US continues to be the top destination of the Pakistani products and exports. So how do you see when it comes to the trade, tariff, taxation and all that, what you perceive actually the upcoming Trump administration's policy?
Thank you very much, Faisal Saab. Here I would a little bit differ with my other colleagues because whenever there is a Republican government, the trade and business facilitations are always quite pro. So we always see that when the Republicans come into the power, the business ties always improve much because they have the approach towards the pro-business strategies. Already we have good collaboration in the sectors which you have mentioned: energy, information technology and agriculture, and we are getting a lot of support from USAID as well in the agriculture sector. And US is still a very top export destination for Pakistan with the mutually beneficial trade bonds, because over the years US investment in Pakistan has been much facilitated through the technological advancement, increased productivity, and driven sustainable growths. And especially if we look toward the energy sector, so we have a lot of options, and JVs already existed for the renewable energy and power infrastructure. Here, I would like to mention that Pakistan-US business diaspora in the form of non-resident Pakistanis, they are very hopeful to make JVs with Pakistan, and they are very much interested for the investment. And that's why for the first time there is going to be opening of Pakistan-US Trade Expo and as well as Display Center in Houston on 24th of January, which looks quite promising, because these kinds of partnership definitely will be bringing more development into the sector in the form of technological transfers, and especially for the agriculture and tourism sector, as well as for the healthcare services through telemedicine is also.
Trump too much anxious by putting at least 60% of the blanket tariffs on all Chinese imports and 10% on the imports on the other countries. Many fears that such decision would worstly affect actually Pakistan's exports to the United States as a largest export destination. But most Pakistani businessmen actually think that if tariffs imposed on certain countries imports, and if followed by the ending of wars with the low cost shipping freight, oil cost, raw materials, finished goods, actually it will going to benefit Pakistan not only through these measures by ending wars and easing the shipments and all that, but also within the American market, because there would be a lot of demand created according to those businessmen.
Yeah, that's correct because if we see that it would be definitely advantageous opening for Pakistani products. Because Chinese product would be facing higher tariffs, and US importers may seek alternative routes. So definitely positioning Pakistan as competitive supplier would be a great option. If we look into the current situation of Pakistan, many investors from Saudi Arabia, Oman, and different places are coming to Pakistan. So economic situation is developing up, and we are having multiple JVs. So if we look towards the freight costs, if the oil prices would be going down and the raw material would be stabilizing, and as Pakistan is also getting stabilized, that they are trying to cut down the energy prices and the markup rates are going down, then Pakistan definitely can see the reduced production of cost and logistic for further strengthening of export position. So I think it would be a great opportunity for Pakistan if additionally, if Trump government policies would be developing and accompanied by focusing of ending of the conflicts and fostering a stable trade routes. So definitely Pakistan would be getting a lot of benefit out of it because Pakistan is having a strong position in the South Asian region, having landlocked countries around that. So we are very important in the region. So if the situation is going to be better in the form of securities and policies, and then reduction of the cost, then definitely Pakistani business will be getting quite a benefit out of it.
Your point well taken, Kurratulan. Do you not think that the Trump's proposal of increasing the child tax credit from $2,000 to $5,000 could cap the credit card interest rates to at least 10% within the American overall sphere? That is basically the half of the current rate. So will ultimately boost the spendings of Americans, which could expend some sort of income and increase the apparel demand. Now, you are from Faisalabad, and this is going to be a win-win situation for the Pakistani textile products, particularly the apparels, because Pakistan can get benefit from this export. We have estimated at least $1.2 billion of the apparel export to the United States. So how do you see this overall accumulative effect on Pakistan's exports to the US market?
Actually, the proposed interest rate cap would definitely encouraging the American consumer to spend and invest, which is definitely in the benefit of the international exporters. And as you already said, that Pakistan April is already lot of choice in US market, like important brand of like American Eagle is being produced from here, the Levi's is being produced from here. So definitely it would be providing a lot of support because the people will be getting more power in terms of financial buying, and it will be enhancing the demands for consumer goods and apples. That's why when these Pakistani US the non-resident Pakistanis, they are doing this trade expo over there, we are trying to promote not only the textile market but also about the cottage industry. That would also be a lot of scope over there in the American market. So definitely we are looking that by giving this cap interest to the American consumer, there would be a large demand in the fashion and textile industry, and the partnership and relationship between Pakistan and USA will be increasing through joint venture products and also for the export.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, QURRAT, for being with us online, and thank you very much for precious time and very candid views. No doubt that Pakistan has an ample opportunity now to tap that opportunity regarding Pakistan's exports, and we can increase that volume as well. Dr. AWAIS, once the Trump had made a generous offer to mediate on Kashmir issue between Pakistan and India in July 2019. Then he reiterated at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly session, but with condition that if India and Pakistan both endorse his mediation, as he knows that India will oppose that, and that's why he never offered again. Means he was actually playing the politics, or he was very much wants to appease the Pakistanis living in the United States, or to have some sort of a strong relation with Pakistan because of the Afghan issue at that time particularly.
You know, this is not the first time that the US administration is offering for mediation. Earlier, if we see President Obama, during both of his campaigns, he particularly mentioned about the mediation in Kashmir. And at one point of time, they wanted to give this mandate to Richard Holbrooke, who was the United States envoy to the Afghanistan. And now, recently, as you have mentioned, that Donald Trump also mentioned for this mediation. But I think that United States has a considered opinion of the conflict management instead of the conflict resolution. That is why that when it comes to, at that time when Trump made that offer, there was an issue of withdrawal of forces, US forces from Afghanistan, and earlier Pakistan was needed when Obama was in power. So I think that this was a kind of offer which is just for the management, not for the resolution of
that was basically the United States' own interest in Afghanistan that compelled, that might be some of the statement only just for the sake of a statement.
Exactly, because of the same reason. Because of the same reason, had the United States been interested to really mediate it, United States had the mandate, because United States of America is the part of UNSC and signatory to the United States resolutions on Jammu and Kashmir. So I think the United States is, believes in conflict management and not the conflict resolution, and that is why these statements are being made. Secondly, about this issue of Kashmir, that is also being used as a chip sometimes, to give some lessons or to pressure India. So sometimes that is being used. So I think that statement should be taken in this way instead of taking it as any serious.
Definitely. Your point well taken, Dr. West. Rida, is it just a coincidence that when first phase of the China-Pakistan economic corridor actually starts in 2015, soon after in 2016 the Trump became the US president, and Islamabad engagement with China as seen as really an irritant. Now India used this opportunity and inflicted state-sponsored terrorism against Pakistan, especially against the Chinese through its proxies in Afghanistan. Now when second phase is on, again the US president-elect is Trump. So what would be the ultimate future of the Pakistan-China economic corridor, the overall economic relations, the defense and strategic engagements during the Trump administration, when they portray China as enemy during their election campaign? And US like to limit actually China's political and economic influence on Pakistan as well.
I'd like to say that China is very important for Pakistan because China has remained the one country which has been by Pakistan's side through thick and thin. And we have been collaborating on different, you can say, accounts, economy, defense. We have been partnering over strategic relations with China. And but most importantly, the most sensitive subject over here is the nuclear collaboration we are having with China.
The missile and nuclear collaboration.
Exactly. And for that matter, no matter how much you can say troublesome it is for United States to see, we cannot give it up, because Pakistan's major, you can say, reliance in terms of economic cooperation is on China. And Pakistan's, you see, CPEC has entered its second phase where industrialization, agriculture and developmental projects are underway. And right now what Pakistan can do is, Pakistan can try to act as a neutral country over here. But it requires some sort of, you can say, it's a two-way street. We need to have some sort of assurance from the Washington as well that they are also ready to collaborate with us on the certain grounds, because if we give up the only partner we have over here right now in terms of, you can say, so we will be left with nothing over here. Plus, Pakistan's reliance on China is directly proportional to United States still towards India. You have seen that United States have been quite, you can say, kind towards India. We have seen in the past it has been given NSG waiver as well. But when it comes to Pakistan, the sanctions have been there and rigid kind of policies. Pakistan has always been the front line of ally when it has come to the issue of Afghanistan. But Pakistan has only been used as some sort of, you can say, proxy which has been used for one-time issue and then has been left
or a makeshift arrangement.
Or a makeshift over, exactly.
Your point
exactly
well taken. Dr. Munawar, most welcome to you, sir, to the program. Ex-President and now the President-elect Donald Trump tweets his actions and several moves harmed Pakistan during his last tenure, had either cut off 1.3 billion US dollars, including the $350 million of the coalition support fund and security assistance and all others. So halted the military training program as well. That was a meager one at that time. So under Indian factor, whether Pakistan's strategic assets or the interests remained under the targeted sanctions and nothing will change, or there would be some sort of a change you are seeing into the Washington's behavior?
Thank you very much for having me in the show. First of all, I would say that President Trump would be busy in the first part of his presidency to bring fundamental changes in the political and administrative system of United States of America, and he has given 3 minutes message to his people that he would bring amendment in the Constitution so the role of deep state could be controlled. He would regain the power in order to remove the corrupt bureaucrats and judges, and he would revive the individual liberty, which is in fact very dear to the Americans because it was curtailed after 9/11. So he would be busy in that. The second point that I would like to share with you, as far as Pakistan's strategic interest is concerned, as Rida mentioned already, that Pakistan would never compromise on it. And for instance, our strategic interest, our stance on Kashmir and in our stance, especially in the past on Afghanistan, we never compromised on them. My third point is that when President Joe Biden came into power, if President Trump curtailed or stopped Pakistan's aid $1.3 billion or $350 million as a security assistance, but when Joe Biden came, did he revive the economic aid? The answer is no, because he followed the same policy. And why he followed the same policy? Because it was an institutional approach where institutions provided the feed that this amount must be stopped, but rather President Biden's time, there was a request to the Congress that $100 million aid should be given to Pakistan so that Pakistan may not fell into the influence of China. That was, frankly speaking, a joke. And my third point is that the 2.0 would be definitely different from 1.0 because of few factors. Number one, that President Trump has emerged a very powerful elected president because he has majority in the upper house, in the lower house. Supreme Court is more or less, it is conservative. He got vote from all segments of American society. He has created hope. And he does not have any sort of stake that he would be re-elected again. So therefore, he does not have any excuses but to fulfill the promise to revive the American economic prosperity, to develop the industrialization, to provide the jobs. So for that, economic prosperity would gain the priority. And in that case, Pakistan would be very important because Pakistan's geostrategic position, geoeconomic position is very significant. And I hope that President Trump is looking towards Pakistan. He has a positive idea regarding Pakistan. And my last point would be that Pakistan is a middle range power and its significance is increasing day by day, whatever is changes we are observing in the case of our region or systemic changes. So we must not underestimate our position. But the question is that are we ready to restructure our society and economy and politics so that it can be beneficial for Americans and we can get benefit out of
Dr. Munawar,
America?
you have already mentioned about the region and Pakistan's position. When it comes to the previous Trump administration, that was eager to end the 20 years long US war in Afghanistan, seized the opportunity with Pakistan's help to have negotiations with the Afghan Taliban. As a result, there was a Doha agreement done. Resultantly, the US forces withdrawn from Afghanistan, and even Pakistan helped US forces in their withdrawal as well, and accommodated lots of diplomats, lots of people who were evacuating from Afghanistan as well. And so soon afterwards, the Trump administration turned its back towards Pakistan. US given Afghan Taliban actually the free hand and left billions of dollars of the ammunition, weapons over there in Afghanistan. And out of that, unfortunately, Pakistan is still facing that wave of terrorism from Afghanistan. And what's changed now? Would Islamabad and Washington get closer, or there would be no change? Because there is an urgency, as the President-elect Donald Trump also mentioned about ISIS and Daesh, and that is basically the threat emerging from Afghanistan. US is very concerned. Is there any cooperation going to be between Pakistan and United States on that aspect?
As far as cooperation is concerned, I would say yes, cooperation is going on, but it is not general in its nature. It is specific in the case of Afghanistan. And this is my short answer, but as far as my long answer is concerned, I would say that no doubt in it that Pakistan and US relationship has a checkered history. But now question is that US has checkered history only with Pakistan or other nations as well. For instance, when Cold War ended, US started doubting the role of Germany and Japan, that they would compete with United States of America. And we are failed to understand the very pattern of US external behavior, the pattern which was established by the founding father of the United States of America, Washington, who in his farewell speech said that there is no permanent friend and foe, but permanent only we have to pursue the interest. So therefore, America always pursued the interest, and America did the same what they did in 1980s when once Soviet Union withdrawal from Afghanistan and US left Pakistan alone, and again when Americans left Afghanistan, they left Pakistan alone again. So this is a checkered history. There is a pattern in the behavior. We need to understand this. Secondly, when we talk about US policy vis-a-vis Pakistan and Afghanistan, we find two phenomena hand in hand. One is continuity and other is change. Continuity is because of an institutional feedback, and the institutions are feeding again and again that Afghanistan, there is a threat of terrorism from Afghanistan. There should be a cooperation with Pakistan. Pakistan is a middle range, important power and partner in the region. And secondly, there is a change, and change always comes because of the change in the president's seat. I mean, his individual personality, his understanding, and the external situation. And now I say there is a change in external situation, where is the balance of power is redefined in the Middle East. In the system, we are observing multipolarity. India is isolated in the region. So therefore, there is the need to rethink about the policy. And then I would say that since Americans, they are perceiving that since there is a border agreement between China and India, therefore they think that Pakistan would be more important. So I hope that in the near future, I see the Trump's administration engagement with Pakistan, and they would see cooperation, I think. Yes.
Means the prospects are there. Your point well taken by Dr. Munawar. Dr. Awais, how would India benefit from the Trump presence in the White House? Especially there are proactively work against Pakistan, drop the curtain on Kashmir most of the times, playing the victim card and spread the state-sponsored terrorism in Pakistan, in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and elsewhere. Not only it's in Canada, but also in UK, in United States, in Australia. Most of the countries are the victim of Indian global terrorism now. While in presence of the proposed US-India Defense Cooperation Act introduced by the Republican Senator Marco Rubio, which is still there and it is going to be approved somewhere around next year might be, to put more pressure on Pakistan, because that is these are the swords which are already lingering now.
Yes, exactly. India would exploit this, Trump's presidency. Of course, that there are reasons. One is to counter China, countervailing China, or the becoming a linchpin of US-Asia pivot strategy. So this is number one, that India would do that. And the second is that India-US relations, we'll see that India tries to do that, but there are some irritants, between India and US. Number one is that dependence of India for defense and weapons on Russia, purchasing of oil. And recently, you must have seen that that visit and causing up of Modi to Vladimir Putin, that was frowned upon by Washington. So I think that will cause irritant between India and United States. And the third thing that you have mentioned, that India's cross-border terrorism, in which one case is underway, in which there is a foil assassination attempt of Gurpatwar Singh, the US Pannu. So, and there are some other cases in Canada and some
Hardeep Singh Najjar, that is the case
also
through which
there.
actually
so the point here is
relations are strained.
Point here is that despite having good relations, there are some irritants between US and India, and it would not be very easy for New Delhi to exploit
recently
its
US
proximity,
lots of sanctions against Indian companies.
Exactly, proximity to for the Kashmir. Secondly, I think that now in the Jammu and Kashmir, if you see that recently the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, Indian Occupied Assembly, they have also passed a resolution, and they have asked for the restoration of Article
restore the Article
370. 370. So India would try maximum to put pressure on Pakistan by Trump. But I think that it's not going to work as far as Kashmir's indigenous struggle is concerned and Pakistan's position is concerned.
Definitely, your point well taken, Dr. Wes. Rida, Trump's skepticism on climate change may hinder efforts to cut emissions and raising resources to for the climate funding. As US President-elect terms boosting green energy a scam. In favor of the fossil fuels and intend to ramp up the oil and gas instead of renewable resources. Now, do you not think that it will harm Pakistan's efforts to secure additional financial support for climate adaptation and resilience also from IMF? Not only that, but COP29 is going to be held in Azerbaijan next week. So Pakistan is also pleading a case for loss and damage and also the adaptation fund. So how do you see overall benchmark? Because US is the largest donor and the funder to the IMF, to the World Bank, ADB, and some of the other lending agencies. So how do you see that aspect?
Yes, this is actually a very scary issue, as Trump's administration does not pay heed to the climate change and the
he don't care about it.
He doesn't care about it, exactly. And especially a country like Pakistan, which has suffered in the past, like you see, 222 floods has caused a huge, you can say, damage to the Pakistan's people and economy as well. So I'd like to add two things over here. First of all, as we know that United States is not only the major contributor of IMF and World Bank, but it is also a major contributor of Green Climate Fund,
obviously,
which is basically helpful for the third world countries who have suffered repercussions as a result of climate change. So when United States is going to withdraw from this fund, and obviously the countries which are beneficiaries of this fund are going to suffer immensely, especially country like Pakistan, which is suffering from the grappling, you can say, impacts of climate change. Secondly, the most important thing is that when a country like United States withdraws from an agreement like this, for example, Paris Agreement, it sends, or it actually sets a precedence for the other wealthier countries to follow in the same footsteps.
I'm so sorry, Rida, we have run short of time, but
so they would be doing the same thing.
Unfortunately, even Trump has also announced that they might withdraw from World Bank and IMF as well.
Yes,
so this is going to be really a scary thing. So, Dr. Munawar, one last question, but be brief on that. That is the possibility of US encouragement to Israel to attack Iran, because Trump was the one who unilaterally left joint comprehensive plan of action JCPOA negotiations. That was the 6+1 negotiation, when the agreement was almost finalized with Iran. Do you not think that in case of any escalation, Pakistan will be the worstly affected country in regarding the regional instability, economic downfall and the security environment, because Pakistan is directly linked with all this and it is going to impact Pakistan worstly?
Faisal, I would like to say one sentence before answering this question, that we need to redefine our relationship with United States of America, because I believe we define our relationship with US based on economic aid and military aid. Now we need to more focus on social relationship and economic relationship. We need the trade, not the aid. Secondly, yes, you are absolutely right. But I do not see a major war between Iran and Israel. Because if there is a war, if it is erupted, Israel would be dependent on United States of America, and President Trump would definitely save the dollars, because at this moment Israel is completely exhausted, weak and fragmented. There is a fight going on in the cabinet, in the fight going on within the Israeli society. Their economy is not in a good shape. So I do not see any chance of war, number one. Number two, JCPO, as far as this issue is concerned, Trump took a decision on the pressure of Jewish lobby. And the purpose was to retain the invincibility of Israel, which is vanished now because of the Gaza war. And now United States of America has a very historical relationship with Iran, and they understand that Iran is an civilization, number one. Number two, they believe that Iran always extended a specific cooperation on the case of Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran showed restraint on the advice of United States of America. So I do not see that United States of America would encourage Israel to attack Iran, because
you do not see, and we also wish to not to see that. Thank you very much, Dr. Munawar, for being with us online, your candid views. Thank you very much, Rida, for being with us here in studios. Thank you very much, Dr. WASI. As you have just listened, viewers, it is important that Pakistan has to restructure its own policy, and we have to be very proactive when it comes to the Pak-US relations. Regarding the upcoming Trump administration, there are mixed views, because on economy, trade and all that, Pakistan can gain a lot into the United States market. And most of the businessmen in Pakistan, they are very much hopeful about that, because businesses are going to flourish in that case. But when it comes to the regional security dynamics, when it comes to the immigration policies of the Trump administration in future, always, and the visa regime and the climate funding and the IMF and the World Bank, that is going to be a horrible case if the Trump administration is going to comply each and every what they have actually announced, and they are going to pass these orders, and that is going to be somewhat very, in that sense, going to harm Pakistan economically. But overall, Pakistan-US relation needs to be focused, and that must have to be from Islamabad as well as from Washington, because that is the two-way traffic. And here I can quote here some of the very important aspect of the plateau, that thousands of years ago he described the 5 forms of the governments actually. One was the aristocracy, then the democracy, then the oligarchy, democracy and tyranny. We have seen over the years that across the world, most of the governments are going to be more tyranny oriented rather than to be the democracy. So do you not think that United States is also going towards that path? So if that is there, that is going to be harmful for whole of the humanity, whole of the world, because superpower has a kind of the big democracy, and they have to follow that. But unfortunately, if some sort of a benchmark set over there in Washington, that is going to harm most of the countries across the world. Let's see when the Trump administration comes, what would be the ultimate decisions. But Pakistan has to gear up for its proactive diplomacy. This is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.